The gravedigger was sitting at the corner of his graveyard house with his faithful she-wolf that he rescued when she was little after poachers killed her mother. He was unbelievably tired of his life. He was not willing to change his life. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. There will always be beauty in everyone's word, but might be pain in their silence. It's the reality. The pain never goes away, and you just elevate and get used to it over time. But for most people, the pain becomes their cure as they let it hurt them until it can't hurt them anymore. People might have thousands of reasons to die and millions of tears to cry. You may be depressed, hopeless, brokenhearted, or even scared, but in the end, you are the only one to pet your shoulder and make yourself understand that you're the only person who understands you. The great art of life is sensational to feel that we exist even in pain. This is the rule of life. Life is always unpredictable for those who leave the pain beyond and move forward with life. Here's the story of a man, his wolf, about a woman to share in Norway where he lived as a man in a graveyard house as a gravedigger. His life was not easy as other people could have. He had only this earning, which got finished by the end of 3 weeks. The last weeks got rough for him and his mother. His mother was a brave woman. She used to give courage, not only to lose hope, but in any condition. You might smile in front of her, but deep down, he was not happy to be a gravedigger, as their job didn't give him and his mother full-fledged eating for a single day in a month. His mother was even ill and starving. He really loved his mother, and he used to cry at night for being so helpless, and prayed all the time to get a reasonable earning for his mother's treatment and eating. Every evening he used to visit the nearest marketplace, but nobody let him work because he had no experience other than digging graves. But here's a saying: darker days are not meant to stay forever. There will be sunshine, as every night is followed by daylight as a routine. He went to the nearest market. He kept visiting every single place he could, but of no use. No one was willing to give him work to do. He sat on a bench seeing people roaming here and there, recalling his mother's words about not losing hope. He went directly to a building nearby the market. It was an old building with a mysterious kind of impression. The walls were painted horribly. There were signs of horror and terror. The man could easily see some people fighting with each other on the wall. He was scared of every single scene painted, yet kept moving. As this building was his childhood dream to be visited, as he moved forward to the door, which was the main entrance to the hall, a man stopped him and asked him not to enter the main steam hall. Considering him a beggar, he got so depressed and was about to leave the place. But suddenly, he heard a hawk screaming inside the building. People started running and shouting out of fear. Nobody exactly knew what was happening around the man who stopped the gravedigger and ran inside the building with his weapon in hand. Thinking if any mishappening occurred, the gravedigger followed him too. The middle yard was much too big, yet scary. There were many people gathered there. The gravedigger could not understand why the people were gathered, and what's the reason they were running to flee the place. He tried moving forward out of the mob, but people pushed him back to the step he put forward. He felt helpless to find the reason behind this haphazard. As soon as people started moving outside, he got to the main yard area. To his surprise, it was an old, wealthy graveyard. There were many graves in the middle of the hall. People were gathered for the last rituals of a funeral. The coffin was kept in the middle to pay tribute to a departed soul. The family was not present as an incident occurred, but what happened there? No one could explain, as everyone was in a hurry to leave this haunted place as soon as possible. Even the prayer master was also missing out of fear. Now the mystery had to be solved. The man struggled harder to get closer to the coffin. As soon as he approached, he heard a shout from behind, stopping him from getting closer. He turned around to see the man who was calling him. The body in the coffin was a woman. There was a woman, But the father of the coffin kept in the middle, speaking to the man, "Don't go there, you'll be dead." The gravedigger couldn't deny what the old man was saying. He surprisingly looked into his eyes. The man continued, "This building is haunted. This used to be among a famous old church. Somebody was murdered and the body was hidden in the basement. This became a dangerous place as the smell of blood and animals live in the basement." This was told to us by the gravedigger. That's why everyone's running out of fear. However, the brave animal did not leave the place. "I'm the father, and I'm compelled to stay and bury the coffin. I have no other choice." The man listened carefully and let the old man sit behind the big round table near the staircase. The father started crying like a kid and told the gravedigger that his young daughter had come across this building. Nobody knew what would happen to her. They were just informed as the news spread about my daughter's death. We moved toward the building to save my daughter, but now we have our own daughter in the coffin. We tried to put her in the grave, but they stopped them, and her friend understood that something terrible was happening here. He added that all people agreed to bury the body, but they all left due to fear and horror. The gravedigger asked him about the basement. The man pointed the way down the staircase. He was about to move downwards. The father stopped him, but he disagreed and started moving quickly to the staircase. As soon as he stepped down, the dark, smelly place was making him faint. He might lose control, but his wild animal was with him systematically. But somebody grabbed his hand and snatched him towards the upper case. He again came near to the coffin, observing the whole incident. As soon as the wolf got close to the woman's coffin, she found a hole near the casket. The wolf bravely peeped into the hole but could not find anything as it was too dark. The hall was empty. There were only 2 people left. The gravedigger asked a man to bring a torchlight. He did as the man asked. He came closer and turned the light toward the hole. It was heart-wrenching and scary to see human parts. He gazed at the light towards the spot. The man got breathless but courageous. He was not a cowardly person. He grew up a brave man with his wild animal. They had witnessed many accidents like this, but this was the first time with this terrible feeling. He was even used to digging graves at night. The wolf led him to a newborn baby buried behind this young woman. He had seen that this dad abused his daughter, and when she got pregnant, he invented the whole story about this haunted house to prevent people from coming across it. But the wolf managed to discover the ugly truth about this place. He was alone with his wolf, digging together to save a life, or at least let people punish this abusive man. Behind the woman's body, there was a newborn baby who was as sleepy as the dead. The wolf pulled the baby's hand from the coffin and found a message that said that their father was killing her and her baby. A miracle happened when she gave birth in the coffin, and this man and his animal were around to find out what really happened. His eyes were filled with tears, seeing a newborn crying out of fear. He went closer to get the baby, but he got scared and shouted louder for help. The whole town appreciated what this man and his animal did to the woman and her baby. The father was arrested and later charged with a death sentence by the court for what he did.